I started acting 2 years ago, and I started acting because I used to I used to pursue professional football and the NFL and all that stuff. And after my last like NFL opportunity 2 years ago, like I had chances to continue to keep pursuing it, and it's just one of those cases where you've given everything you could, and your heart's not in it anymore. And it's like I just felt like God was like pointing me into different directions. I didn't know what it was, and like I wish I could say like it was this happy thing I'm gonna be an actor, but like at first it was like just depression for like a month, and then you start googling things like what are your skills. You start reading books about your gifts and stuff like that, and praying a lot, and then I went to acting class, and because I was like I love movies. They're always like my outlet, and I went to acting class on camera one, and I did just absolutely terrible, and I was like, but I got the same thrill, you know. And that acting teacher told me that I had something if I would just work on it. And with football, you learn how to work, and I knew I could do that. And sometimes you need somebody to tell you that you got it. And I kind of just fell in love with it. Like, oh, I felt I could do it. And then every class, I fell deeper and deeper in love with like acting and what it does and what I could do. And then it became.
So, tell us about Black Friday Subliminal and how you learned about the role.
Well, the cool thing about Black Friday Subliminal is that it's actually the first thing, like right after I got my headshots, it's actually and my like little reel scene and stuff. It's actually the first thing I ever applied to on Backstage. And it was, the actual breakdown was a little vague. You were like, oh, what is this? But you're thinking like, yeah, like, why not? It's a lead role. Like maybe you're probably not gonna get it, but like maybe why not try it? And there's this whole audition story where, I was supposed to, Chauncey like gave me an audition, which was really cool, and obviously you don't think you're gonna get it, but like scheduling stuff. I did another audition that same day, and I remember messaging him like, oh, I can make it like 5, and the other audition was in Chelsea, and you gotta make it to Garden City, and I made it like 5:05. Everybody was gone, and I was like, dang, I kind of blew it, and it stinks. And then that Monday, I get a call from Chauncey, and it was like, I really want to see you for this role. Like, and he kind of described a little bit what it is, what's going on in it, and I was like, of course, like I'd want to, at least get a chance for it. You go to audition, and like, you feel like, oh, okay, like I have the idea, and it's a really intense audition because everybody's auditioning for like the same parts and different parts, so you want that lead role, and I was like the most nervous I've ever been in my whole life, and it was for me like I was like, man, like I really blew this, and Chauncey showed a lot of faith in me, and I'm sure a lot of people were like, nah, this isn't the guy and stuff like that. But Chauncey like saw something in me. Then we met privately, and we ran over the lines and everything, and we kind of did a read through. And then he was so sure I was the guy that before he believed that I could do it before I did. So yeah.
So, describe your character in the film.
Junior, or Daniel Hart, he is like a lot of us right now. Like he's struggling with a lot of things. He's a baby on the way. He doesn't have like the greatest relationship with his dad since his mother died. There's a lot of regret in Daniel, and that was the thing that is the most interesting to me about him. That there's so much regret, like in how to be a father, how to be a better father than his father, and he's such a supportive wife who really, really cares about him, but does push him to make, decisions based on facts and statistics and things that are really going on. Where this is a guy who just kind of sees the world through his regrets, through, his, anger towards his father and stuff for, what happened to his mom years prior. So, when you see that, you really, I did a lot of research on people who do lose people to cancer and, what's the biggest thing? What's the thing that hurts him the most? And what Chauncey wrote is really something true to the fact that when you watch somebody who is, dying of cancer, every day that they're in the sickness of it, every day that they're dying from it is that it's trauma every single day. And you are looking for someone to blame, whether it's doctors or, a family member who made a decision. And Daniel is someone who is looking for someone to blame and not wanting to deal with his current reality that, this is a real thing and it could definitely happen to him. And, the way I thought about it is that, with what's going on with Daniel, he's really in a lot of denial and he refuses to say that his life is in someone else's hands. Preparation, I just kind of, this is like my first like real big role, like lead and all that stuff. So, and I just did like what I thought would be the most honest to the character and like kind of putting myself in his shoes, which is the job. But Offset, I would, I weightlifted a lot because I thought if this is a guy he's not going to rely on medication, not going to rely on like spiritual or holistic senses, forms of healing, he's going to just build his body up. He's going to be someone who will physically will this out of his body. So I weightlifted a lot. I watched a lot of videos on trauma and how it affects the trauma of losing someone to cancer and those effects of seeing that person kind of deteriorate and like the impacts it has on families. And I also looked up, it's so insane because we recently lost Chadwick Boseman to cancer, and it's this thing that, another thing that we need to talk about in like, not just like the Black community, but like every community, this like denial of getting checked out or when you should, or it's just things that you need to focus on, things that you need to deal with as a family. And I really just looked into what living with cancer would be like and how it affects families. The most challenging part is keeping up with Heidi, because Heidi plays my wife in the movie, and Heidi is like an emotional powerhouse. Like she had a lot of really really heavy scenes. She was the emotion of the scene, and like she's an experienced actor, and like working with somebody like me who, is prepared and all that stuff, but like still like in a lot of ways, looking for some guidance, still growing. And Heidi's still growing too, but my goodness, like her preparation on set, she's so professional and classy, and she kind of really taught me how to really prepare. And in a scene, like she's like explosive and dynamic and honest. And when your scene partner is giving that to you, you really just don't get in your way and just do your best to give it back. And it was hard as a someone as inexperienced, but like awesome. It was also like the best thing was working, with great actors and Heidi especially.
So,
Oh man, yeah. So, it's like coming from playing football, like this athletic background, it's you learn that there are like coaches that you just want to go out and give everything for. And Chauncey is one of those kind of guys. Like as a director, he pushes you, he cares about your success and wants to bring the very most out of you. And he dealt with a lot on this film, like a whole lot. You know, he wore like probably 200 hats. And how he was able to focus and still be in the moment, focus on what we needed to do that day, what that scene needed, you know, was incredible. And as a writer, I mean, you know, you'll see the story. It's just like written in such a entertaining way. And what's amazing, it's a profound story we're telling with a profound message in like a package that will reach a lot of different audiences because they need to hear it. And it was important to him that the message is getting across. And you know, that's special. That's a really special thing about it.
So there were different sequences in the film where that required you to get into a certain emotional space. Can you describe how you got there?
Yeah, well, there's a lot, and I think the way I get into the emotional states of Junior was, one, I would watch a lot of YouTube videos on, you know, the grief that someone is experiencing, and you know, I would, you know, rip up my script with notes and all that stuff, and then music, you know. So I had a playlist for Daniel Jr. and I would listen to it before we get in there to get in his mind state, and then just, you know, hopefully it just comes out, and most of the time it did. Oh yeah, that whole day was just like it's just, to this day, probably one of the most intense days I've had filming. And one, the set was really lit, just amazing. You know, so it wasn't really too hard to wake up in this confusion or wake up feeling like you're in a different world, because the way Salvador, our cinematographer, like lit it, it really brought Chauncey's vision to fruition. So like you were really in a different world, and these dark elements, they, you know, it was the first time for me like seeing them in costume, kind of like on the set, like in the scene, and a lot of it, you know, I'm just as astonished or surprised as Daniel is, and it's just, he was really, the set really helped so much get into that, and it was brutal. Like, you know, those fight scenes, like, you know, you do it yourself, and you know, it's physical and it's emotional and it's high intensity, and it was a lot of fun. It was hard. It was a lot of fun.
Can you describe the rehearsal process?
Oh my God, yeah, the rehearsal process. So working with our stunt choreographer, she was incredible, and you know, it's like it's the whole thing. Like, this is your first time doing it, so you don't ever want to use that as an excuse. So you know, like, this is the level, you have to be on her level, and she, you know, took me under her wing and pushed me, and never was like, oh, that's okay. Like, she demanded perfection, and I was really proud that she was happy with the fight scenes, all of them. There were so many, and you know, the rehearsal process, you know, rolling through it and learning the moves, learning the roles, and how to fall, you know, how to shoot, you know, actually going to a gun range and learn how to, you know, load your gun, discharge it properly and safely, take cover, flashbangs, you know. God, yeah, it was a lot, man, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah, well, you know, the cool thing about the cool thing about this movie is that, you know, Junior is a lost person in a lot of ways, being led by women who are smarter than him and more confident than him. And, you know, Grace is really like this really awesome, kind person. And, you know, but like in this world here, she really took it over. Like, she led the whole nano group, right? And you know, it's all, you know, it's a lot of, she never acted like she was in charge. She just was in charge the whole time. And, you know, what was great, what was really cool to see is that in between takes, she's you know, grace, and she's like helping you out if you need help. Like we're slugging 5 or 6 hours on the beach with equipment and guns, and you have to remember lines, and it's hot, and in between scenes she's keeping it light, and then as soon as action, she's yelling at me, pulling me along, and she found a way to be the leader on the set, when she was supposed to, um, in the scene and off it, and like for that I'm thankful for it. And you'll see like there's a moment in there where she has to break that she's not as the she doesn't have to be as strong as in the lead, as in charge, and she slips right into it, and you understand like this leader, this sergeant really is, has different levels, and for her to do that and so quickly, was really impressive. So yeah, well, Fenton's just incredible as an actor, as a person, and he's probably the most experienced guy on set. So he didn't just bring a lot to each scene; he brought a lot to the project. Guiding other actors, giving us advice not just for on the set but career wise, and then guiding us within the story. Like we have we have a really really intense scene, me and Fenton, and you just kind of worked it out with me in the sense of understanding like the scene arc of my character. You know, he's someone he's probably one of the smartest actors I've ever met, I've ever worked with, because he understands his role in the story and everybody else's, and what he brings to a scene is like the culmination of such intense preparation. Like he prepares the way an actor should prepare, and he just raised the standard of the whole set. And I think we all did our best to meet him at that standard. Jeff is an intense guy, and he's such a good guy. It's so strange to have like such a contentious relationship on set and stuff, and we really had to. That was our thing. We don't ever. It's hard for us to come to it, right? Daniel and his father, and Jeff was like relentless in, really making sure that his character is not seen as like this bad guy who made like, this neglectful father. He's a father who made choices. And in the scene, there's this one scene that he's talking to me, and he says certain things that truly hit me in ways that I didn't think would, because Jeff is such an honest actor. And it's, that honesty comes through, and it hits you like in the soul, and you feel exactly what he got me right where I needed to be, because he's honest, truly. And it's just so, that character could be played in so many different ways, one direction and one note, but he brought so many colors to it and really brought out a sense of love and his own regret. So I just thought he really just balanced the scene, and it was just easy because we brought this real life but honest relationship between a father and a son who's struggling and doesn't want that great relationship. So he was just terrific. I really just enjoyed working with him. I would say that what I really want the audience to take away from this project is ask for help. Like when lean on the people who love you. And you don't gotta listen to everything everybody tells you, but like the people who love you do want the best for you. And a lot of times especially with mortality and loss and grief and all these things that we can't control, it's easy to lash out, especially to the people who are closest to us. And I would just say, like, stop and think, like, are they trying to help you truly? Because if they are, then listen. Don't go out and block all the love that needs to be in your life. Just open yourself up, be smart, check on your health and listen to the people who love you.